So, hey everyone, welcome back to Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Space Marine is a fun word to say. I think what I was talking about earlier was the Forge Worlds and the importance to them of them for the Imperium. Very important. So, and reclaiming these like Forge Worlds, like they have their number of options. Like I was talking briefly about the Exterminatus, which is basically they just bomb the whole world. They didn't want to do that, and they had a bunch of other options too, which were undesirable to say the least. I'm gonna see if there's actually no collectibles around. I just want to make sure I got everything. And normally, there's two components of the not two components. There's a lot more to the Imperium as well. And for those of you who don't know, the Imperium is just basically like humanity in this world. I don't know how many of you know a lot about Warhammer 40k. I'm a huge fan of the series. This is part of the reason why I picked up Space Marine, is because, like, me being a huge Warhammer 40k fan, I figured I'd get maybe more enjoyment out of this than your average bear. I mean, because bears don't play video games, right? So there's a lot I can talk about, and I'm assuming for like most people, like they're not into Warhammer 40k like I am, so that's why I'm making an effort to describe a good number of the details. Oh yeah, and they have some guardsmen. Bunch of dead guardsmen. So this is probably a good introduction. So what we have here is, so what I am right now is I'm a Space Marine, like that's the title of the game. And what these are here, these are guardsmen, and for lack of a better he's missing his arm. Oh boy. Imperial Guardsmen are basically like the regular humans of Warhammer 40k. Well, they are regular humans. Like there's nothing really remarkable about them, except how many of them there are. So for Forge World like this, there may have been millions upon millions of Guardsmen, but like they're regular humans, so they're not very strong. Whereas, say, cool. Or as a Space Marine, like you just saw earlier, like a Space Marine just took down an entire fleet of orcs. And one orc, on average, is much stronger than, say... Oh. Audio logs. Can we listen to this?
Workers, assemble.
Caleb, there you are. The Shiring brothers are saying we're under attack.
Oh.
Workers, assemble.
Sorry, we have to listen to this. I'm curious.
Caleb, there you are. The Shiring brothers are saying we're under attack.
The brothers are idiots, Lilith.
They saw rocks in the sky.
Xenos, here. Damned unlikely.
Alright. Yeah, so orcs are, stronger than guardsmen, and most things in the Warhammer 40k universe are stronger than the Imperial Guardsmen. Like, Imperial Guardsmen are on the bottom of the food chain, but they're like insects. Like, there's just so many of them, and that's where their power comes from. And I think you'll see more of the Guardsmen as the game progresses. So, the whole reason why I was describing about the Guardsmen is because like they're so numerous. Like, that's the bulk of the Imperium's fighting force, but they do have Space Marines, which are, I mean, they're elite super soldiers, which I think you will be seeing that. Oh, pick up a bolter.
The Emperor be with you, Space Marine.
Bolter unlocked. Alright, and this is their classic weapon. Very nice. I think we're gonna use the bolt pistol though, because I want to conserve ammunition if I can. So, with the Space Marines, because they're elite super soldiers, they're called in to do the precision work of the Imperium. So when you need a group of specialists who can get a job well done, usually you call them the Space Marines. Like, to put, or to use an, excuse me, sorry, I'm a little bit gassy today. To use an example, or an analogy rather, to describe my point, the Imperial Guard is the hammer of the Imperium, and like by the Imperial Guard, like I mean, the Guardsmen and they're like those fighting forces. Whereas the Space Marines are a sword. A lot more precise, and used for precision attacks, which I guess is very redundant for me to say precise and precision. My mistake.
Destroy them!
Here they come. This way! They got no way out.
Okay, so I think that's all you really need to know as like a primer or an introduction for this game. Play near Bolter.
Kill the Space Marines!
The lore of Warhammer 40k is pretty expansive. It's almost like the Star Wars expanded universe in the sense that there's a lot in here. Oh, get away from the grenade. And I could honestly spend like the whole series talking about Warhammer 40k lore and like not even scratch the surface. Oh, something I should mention too. I think this is gonna be in the title, but this is a blind let's play. So even though I know a lot about Warhammer 40k, I know like nothing about this game.
Crush the Space Marines!
So again, I'm excited. I'm excited to play a Warhammer 40k game because it's been So I believe that's my shield. That's my shield is taking damage. Oh, and as far as the hierarchy goes for Space Marines versus Orcs, Space Marines are typically stronger than Orcs. Like, Space Marines are high up on the tier list of powerful forces in this universe. Like, Space Marines are supposed to be the best of the best. Get toasted, Orc. He's dead.
The Codex Astartes warns against using packs to leap blindly into enemy fire, and for good reason.
Your days as a novice are behind you. Why do you still interpret the Codex so narrowly?
I look to its rules for guidance.
We all do. But there are also benefits to thinking for yourself, Daniels.
All right.
Enemy sighted!
Oh, and I guess I should talk about the Codex Astartes. So, for Space Marines, you have different chapters of Space Marines, which are basically different organizations of Space Marines. So, for example, and I know we'll see some later in the game, which, I mean, considering how I was like, oh, there's I know nothing about this game, that's a bit of a lie. So, we're Ultramarines, which are, for keep things simple, like we're Blue Space Marines, but you have different Space Marines of different organizations who have different strengths. So, for example, Ultramarines are good all around, whereas other Space Marines chapters might have different strengths. So, for example, there's another chapter called the Imperial Fists. They wear yellow armor.
Cannon, Captain.
Sedona's picked up local Imperial Guard communications. They survived under the shadow of that guard. I want to know how.
And they're very good. So the Imperial Fists are very good at, say, holding fortified positions. Like, they're basically the siege masters for the defending side.
Keep firing! Keep firing!
Hey, guardsmen, they're alive. Oh. And so, with these different chapters, they have different ways of operating and different tactics for the most part. Like, one Space Marines are always going to be a skilled soldier, but different Space Marines might have different strengths depending on which chapter they're from. So again, like I say, the Ultramarines are jack of all trades, but the Codex Astartes is something that the Ultramarines in particular use as a guide. It's basically a rule book of sorts for the Ultramarines, where they get all their tactical maneuvers and their strategies from. So, for example, it was like when fighting the orcs, or what you saw earlier about like, oh, don't use a jump pack to engage the enemy like that. They might have gotten that from the Codex Astartes. Like, this is how we operate.
My lord, you have saved us.
Rise, guardsmen. You saved yourselves. We thought you did.
We would be, my lord, if not for the lieutenant.
Where will we find this lieutenant?
At the front lines. Follow the trench network to the lieutenant's command bunker.
Carry on, guardsmen. We rendezvous with Sedonis, then we find this lieutenant. We need updated intel on the gun battery.
Through here, my lords. Head out the upper level and continue through the plaza. The bunker is beyond that.
All right. Okay, well, I'm going to end the episode here, so thank you all for watching. And I'll see you... Oh, my goodness. The alt-tabbing is difficult. I'll see you guys all later. And, yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.